truth, and life. Here is the Brother Leon Show. You better recognize.
What's going on, my listeners? This is your boy, Brother Leon, and you are tuning into another episode of the Brother Leon Show. Let's go on in this piece. The one thing that I want you guys to understand and know is that we mourn another loss. We mourn another loss of a black life, of a black man. And it was caused by police officers who happen to be black. And so the one thing that I said this earlier when I was preaching on Truth and Life Urban Ministry, is that white supremacy does not care what color you are as long as you fulfill the agenda. And I also said that I do believe in justice. I do believe that the Bible says, let justice roll like a mighty stream. But the crazy thing about it is that in order for something to flow and to roll, there has to be order. And so even justice might be blind. It might even be categorized as a woman. But the whore is public safety. The Jezebel is public safety, because the one thing about public safety, when you really look at it, is that everybody eats. Doesn't matter what type of character you have. Everybody eats at the table of public works. Public safety. Everybody eats. You may not be at the main table, but you at a table that is being furnished, and you're being fed by tax dollars, by taxpayers. And so a lot of times you will see reckless spending. A lot of times you will begin to see rogue people, rogue officers, rogue politicians, rogue city council. It doesn't matter. Because the one thing about it is that you have to begin to look that there is no righteousness in so-called systems. Because they are the systems of men. And a lot of times we are expected to support these politicians, some of these policies, and it will behoove us as people, as citizens, to begin to look out and see who is promoting the welfare of our city and who is bringing people in to bring it down. Because when you look at atrocities like this, it brings down the morale of the community. The one thing that I will say about the black community, we are heavily policed. And a lot of times we are heavily policed by people that don't look like us. A lot of times we're heavily policed and we still have the problems that affect our city, that affect the poverty, that keep poverty in place. And the crazy thing about it is that a pay increase is always justified, even at the expense of its citizens. When it comes to police officers, they have in place the FOP as a protection. They have the police union as a protection. They also have what is called the Law Enforcement Officers Bill of Rights, LEOBOR. And that basically means that it'll be hard to get a conviction because of these safeguards that are put in place for our officers. But we have seen the wheels of justice turn against its own. when you look at the case of Justine Damon and Muhammad Noor. Muhammad Noor was a police officer of color, and he accidentally shot a white woman. And her family was paid a large settlement, and they convicted the officer. Look it up. But a lot of times when it's the other way around, it's a fight. We have to, quote unquote, trust the process. But the crazy thing about it is that when we heard trust the process in light of George Floyd, they hurried up and made convictions when buildings were burning. And so the one thing that I will tell you is this, is that they know how the system is supposed to work. But like I said this morning, there is a blue wall of silence. It's a blue curse. It's a blue curse because it assimilates those who are in it. When you become a police officer, you are assimilated to a certain degree. And also to a certain degree with that type of training, it's hard for some officers to turn it off. It's hard to dial it down. And the relationship between law enforcement and communities of color is like an abusive relationship. It's like the cycle of abuse. You have the first stage of tension. The tension is these daggone unjust laws, these unjust ordinances that do not give people freedom, but it makes it harder. And then you're constantly walking on eggshells trying to perform as a person of color, believing the lie. If I do this, then I don't have to worry about police. It's almost like the police are the boogeyman. If I do this, I don't have to worry about the boogeyman. If I sleep with the light on, if I stay in the house, I don't have to worry about the boogeyman. If I'm just minding my business, I don't have to worry about the boogeyman. But I'm going to tell you right now, how many of us have been minding our own business, such as Breonna Taylor? How many of us have been minding our own business like Botham Jean? How many of us have been minding our own business like Philando Castile? How many of us have been minding our own business and evil and racism and hatred in the form of law enforcement still visit us and takes our lives? So you can't sit up here and say, if we believe these myths and try to act them out, then we don't have to worry. You do have to worry. But I want you to begin to follow the financial trail of these police unions, these FOP boards, these public safety commissions, public safety departments, heads of public safety, these police captains and commissioners. You need to begin to really look at how government works and see how much money is in these budgets. Because when you take and justify a budget of XYZ, a budget over $1 million for public safety alone, for your police department alone, let me ask you this. Start comparing that budget with settlements that you had to pay out, and then try to say that you're justified in getting that money based on the complaints, based on the payouts. Because at the end of the day, should a department get that type of budget, operating budget, if they done had XYZ in their department? If they done had all types of mismanagement, if they done had all types of complaints, police misconduct that's caught on film, that makes the county look bad, that makes the state look bad, that makes the commissioner and the captain look bad. Is the money justified? And then the crazy thing is, you don't want to talk about defunding the police. But my question is, are you entitled to that budget when you have that type of misconduct? Before you were being paid by taxpayers to be an officer of the law, and now you are being paid by taxpayers because now you are a slave of the state. And the crazy thing about it is that you still get your pension. You go to some of these states, look at the laws that's on the books. If any public official is convicted of a crime, a lot of times their pensions are not garnished or forfeited. In some states there are. In some states it's only for financial crimes. But a lot of states, So you need to check the state in which you live, because a lot of these municipalities get their money through real estate transfer tax. They get a lot of their money through you renewing your tags, getting the license, renewing the license, selling vehicles. So you need to begin to see how your municipality gets its money, gets its funding. And a lot of us as black people and people of color, man, we just don't care. Long as it works, long as I can call 911. But the one thing I want to tell you, man, is that we need to wake up, because it's going to take more than just us marching, protesting, because the one thing about this beast of racism and white supremacy, I'm telling you, man, there's money to be made. There's money to be made on racism. There's money to be made on white supremacy on both sides of the fence. Whether you are a white supremacist or against it, you will find an audience, and that audience will pay you however. And we can sit up here and say we doing good. And I don't want to take away from some of the contributions and sacrifices that people have made and are making today. But more than just the activists, we need politicians that are going to take up the mantle and destroy that beast. Destroy those safeguards. We need legislation, but I'm going to tell you, man, it's going to be hard to get it because, number one, our public safety employees are the first boots on the ground. But what happens when those boots are on your neck? What happens when those boots break your back? There's a whole lot of corruption. When it comes to police officers, when it comes to correctional officers, when it comes to probation and parole officers, there is a whole lot of misconduct and corruption. And a lot of these things are not even brought out on video or in public view or on the news or in the newspaper or online. It's only until it gets out of hand. Because a lot of the attitude in these departments is, I don't want to hear nothing. So a lot of times these people go unchecked, unmanned, undisciplined, unsupervised. Because the one thing about public works at times, and depending on what department that you're in, you have a love for controlling people and controlling budgets and controlling resources. There are people that are like that. And some of those people are toxic as hell. A lot of your officials are toxic as hell. They will show up and give you a barbecue and give you a book bag and coat drive, but vote against your interests and vote against programs that's going to uplift your community. And the only time you see them is for photo ops or a new business opening. But other than that, man, they ain't showing up to church no more, not after that first time. They ain't showing up to the funeral. They ain't showing up in the neighborhood. So the one thing that I want you guys to understand and know is that you got to begin to see who you are voting for, what you are voting for, where the money is going. I'm telling you right now, follow the money, go after the money, because they'll give you Black Lives Matter all over the place. Black Lives Matter is now a trademark. They'll give you all types of gestures, but you will not get policy. You will not get legislation on the local side or the federal side. The only way you see justice at times is if it's a violation of civil rights. And the thing that really saddens me is that these were black men that killed another black man. These were black men who were exceptional, who were, quote unquote, police officers in good standing. I know some of us was probably thinking, oh yeah, man, yo, they there. They could change the system from within. Man, please, they got assimilated and they acting just like they white counterparts at times. And a lot of times when you put black people and people of color in positions of power like that, sometimes, man, that power corrupts and gets them intoxicated and they acting worse than some of these white people out here. I'm telling you, man, white supremacy loves people like this. Because you don't even think that you're a part of the black community anymore. I ain't black, I'm a cop. I ain't Hispanic, I'm a cop. Or you think that you white? Man, please. I ain't black, I'm blue. Yeah. Uh-huh. You gonna see what you are when you get behind them damn bars. And the crazy thing about it is that even Derek Chauvin will be receiving his pension. And some of our tax dollars is in that. A lot of our tax dollars is in that. Because when you begin to look at the spending that these departments do, militarizing police departments, getting military grade equipment, getting all types of crazy ass vehicles with upgrades. Does every cop need a Tahoe? Seriously. Do police departments need electric vehicles? Seriously. I get the fact with the computer. I get that. But even with some of the spending, man, how can it be justified? How can scooters be justified? Seriously, scooters. How can obsolete horses be justified? Seriously, horses. You still have police forces that still have a mounted unit. That is so daggone obsolete, like I don't know what. Really. So I'm telling you right now, when it comes to these settlements, we need to put something in place that say, hey, we're not going to approve your budget if you done had this many settlements in 1 year. This many complaints in 1 year, because you need to begin to justify how you are training these police officers and public employee officials. Seriously. But nobody wants to go down that route. Because who am I if I have aspirations to go high in government, in public office? Who am I to come against the first boots on the ground? But yet it's the citizens that elect you, that vote for you. So my question is, are you going to go against the citizens or are you going to go with the police? And a lot of times people are caught in the middle feeling like, ooh, I'm tug of war, police or citizen. So I'm telling you right now, man, something has to give. Something has to give. And we need to be the type of people that Do not give in. Do not give in. Begin to check voting records. Begin to not only check voting records, but also begin to see where these police have come from. Do they have complaints from other departments? Even when it comes to correctional officers. What type of correctional officers are we getting? What type of probation and parole officers are we getting? Because something needs to change. And until we begin to make noise, it ain't going to change. Until we begin to get involved and say, no, we ain't going to elect you. No, we ain't going to let that roll. No, we ain't going to let that fly. We ain't going to let that slide. But a lot of times what they do is they give us money to make us go away. They give us certain things to make us go away, and they still keep in place the same jacked up, fucked up system. And then they want to take and give you, policies and procedure books that are redacted. They want to give you all types of PSAs. They want to have, photo ops with cops and this and people doing that. Cops playing basketball. Man, please. Same cop that damn near beating a nigga's ass on the court with his stick while the dude's in handcuffs. So now, man, I'm not trusting police. I'm not trusting public officials. And for you to think that you're going to get salvation through Democrat or Republican, you have deluded yourself. Because number one, man, politics is about what's the biggest lie I can buy. I'm a good liar. Who want to buy me? Because I get the fact about having all this big government. I get what Republicans say, but at the end of the day, they lie. Just like Democrats. And Republicans will only look out for themselves and for the wealthy. And they're going to look out for the police. And the Democrats do the same daggone thing. They ain't going to come against these cops. They ain't going to come against these public officials and these police departments and police unions. They're not going to make a mandate that needs to be federal that says if you commit a felony act and you're found guilty, you forfeit your pension, your 401k. They're not going to have that type of legislation, but that's what we need to take and curtail and police some of these daggone rogue police. That's the only way that's going to keep them in check. It's either, I give up my nigga shit or my family don't eat. Because some of these people, they only in law enforcement because they have a hatred of people of color. And that's the God knows truth. How long are we supposed to wait? How long are we supposed to trust a process that lies to us continually? This is a cycle of abuse. And you need to see it and know it. And we need somebody, we need a system of people who's going to act as Jehu and take down this idol and take and kill all of Jezebel's prophets and take all that old ass legislation and signing contracts and make all that shit null and void. Because at the rate that we're going right now, pretty soon, it's just going to be every man for himself, and lawlessness is going to be the law of the land, because it is right now, because you're seeing lawlessness out of those who are supposed to protect and uphold the law. But you got this daggone whore of public safety, and people want to just eat. And they don't care. They don't care about black life, about brown life. They just care about blue life and keep the money going. And they'll send out a black woman to explain and give cap. And they'll send out a black man, or they'll send out a white woman, or they'll send out a former this or a former that to try to tell you, America ain't a racist country. No, we don't need to defund the police. But yet, you get an operating budget and you're paying out millions of dollars, because you can't keep your fucking cops in check. I am tired of seeing the same scenario, the same cycle. Something has to give. We can't keep continuing to pray and to let these niggas in our churches. Nah. I'm telling you, man, to be an activist is almost like damn near being a celebrity. You keep going around, you're going to get celebrity status, but nothing changes. We ain't pushing on government. We ain't pushing on that. You want to know how the bus boycott was so successful? People were in a place where they would say, I will walk. I will die before I get on that damn bus. They went after their pockets. And they ended up getting to the table. And that's what needs to happen with us. I'm not voting for y'all. I'm not supporting y'all. And every chance I get, I'm going to shoot it down. But the crazy thing about it, man, when you begin to look at, you are a black man. You are a black police officer that knows the history of black people in law enforcement. You have seen Rodney King. You have seen George Floyd. You have seen all of these things. And yet, you kill a black man in uniform. And then, there's people out here that have the audacity to say that we kill each other. White people kill each other too. White people kill white people too. Kyle Rittenhouse, white on white crime. But nobody says that. So I don't want to hear that. Ooh, if he would have complied, he might not die. Really? What about that woman on January 6th who called herself getting in the chambers and then got shot by Secret Service? Maybe if she would have complied, she wouldn't have died. But we always talking about Blue Lives Matter, but they didn't matter on January 6th. So what is it going to take? I'm telling you right now, follow the money. Follow the money. See how it's being spent. See the type of vehicles that they're getting. See the type of weaponry that they're getting. All this daggone training and you still killing people. See who's had the training, who ain't. Because it's available. I don't want to hear it no more. I don't want to hear reform. Because at this point right now, please, that argument been went out the window. You can't reform white supremacy. You can't reform racism. You cannot reform that. You have to remove it. And you have to make it so that they can't get in law enforcement or public works altogether. Put legislation in place. Once you've been convicted, you can never get that type of job. And that's the God knows truth. You will never hold a place in protecting the people, protecting the city, the county, the state. You will never have that office or have that opportunity ever again. And I know people, well, how come you can't? People they deserve a second chance. Please, when it's multiple complaints, second chance when it's multiple complaints. Oh, so you get another chance at killing another nigga. Is that what you're saying? So my tax dollars have to pay for another settlement. My tax dollars have to pay for continuing his pension because we gave him or her a second chance. Man, please. Y'all better go ahead with that bullshit. Am I angry? Yeah. Because it's a new year. It's a new year. And this is the same old song. But the Bible says, the thing which have been shall be, and there is nothing new under the sun. I'm paraphrasing. As it was then, so is it now. In the midst that we have believed, the lies that we have believed, and we have the audacity to still say, this is America, the land of the free, the home of the brave. And we still believe in the national anthem, and we still sing it. We still sing our country tis of thee. We still salute the flag. So I'm telling you right now, something got to give. We have to change. Lawlessness has come on our land. Lawlessness is here. And lawlessness is coming from those who have sworn to uphold the law. So this is the coming of Christ. These are the last days. Because now the love of many have grown cold. The love of humanity, the love of our city, having morals and values. And I get the fact that, people should be free to do whatever they want. I get that. But why have we become a society that has lost its empathy, its compassion for our fellow man? Our love has grown cold. And it's a shame, man, that we are losing our men. We're losing our women. And for what? Because we don't want to do evaluations. We don't want to check records. We want to keep people in place because we feel as though that the only way to police black people in communities of color in urban cities is to have these type of people. Everything would have been okay as long as that boy didn't die. And the crazy thing is that you got EMS a part of that shit as well. Sit by and let a nigga die. They did it with Eric Garner. Just let that man die. I'm telling you, man, something got to give. When the EMS don't give a fuck about you, you know shit is fucked up. I'm done.
Walk in the truth that makes you free every day. Follow Brother Leon on all social media outlets.